Yeah. I'm just going through the state's response. Yeah. That is the defendant's remedy when alleging due process violations in that underlying order for protection. Yeah. The only remedy I have for the allegation of due process violations is to motion at any time Clallam County Superior Court. Now, there's nothing else I can do. The only remedy when alleging due process violations is to motion Clallam County Superior Court. There's no one else in the United States of America that is obligated to enforce the laws of the nation. Now, I had emailed those in the police department. Is it my obligation to motion a court that did not issue a protection order according to the laws of the United States? Or is it law enforcement's obligation to enforce the laws of the United States? Now, for every day that I've sat here on the street for the last 2 years, and I had informed local law enforcement, and I had informed those that are sworn oaths of office. And they said, well, you included some cuss words, or there was sex in the emails, and we just couldn't read them. But I did include RI.PDF, and I did oftentimes make mention that the petitioner has to sign the protection order to prove that she wanted the protection. That you have to serve the respondent before you issue the protection order. And you can't issue it for 10 years. Now, it's very easy to prove kidnapping when there's a malicious abuse of process. It's easy to prove that there were those that conspired against my rights as an American citizen. And I would say that the defendant's remedy when alleging due process violations in that order for protection, that is the defendant's remedy. That as the defendant of an arrest, a probable cause arrest, where I was not in that city on that day, I do actually have other remedies to having that protection order removed. I would think that every oath of office is legally obligated to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Now, there's Amendment number 5, where you have to have a process server and you have to have proof of service before you can have a court hearing. Then there's Amendment number 14, that every state in the United States that has a constitution that has to enforce the full faith and credit of the Violence Against Women's Act, if or since they have knowledge that opportunity and notice was not protected, they themselves are obligated to enforce my right to due process. Now, I could go through that 1.5 million individuals that are employees of every city, every county, every state, and the federal government that are obligated, when they have knowledge of any court-issued document that violates my right to life, liberty, and property, that they are obligated to enforce the laws of the United States. It seems that I might have a different remedy than what the state's response says. Now, when I inform those that have badges on, and then they're in the DEA, and they decide, well, it's not our jurisdiction, I would say, yeah, it is. You have to enforce every law of the United States if you have a badge on, and you have obligated yourselves to enforcement of the laws. It seems that there are other remedies to the allegation that the protection order violates my right to due process. Now, I know it's difficult to believe that somebody in law enforcement that has sworn to support, defend, and obey the Constitution of the United States would refuse to do what they had sworn. But as I understand the alleged due process violations and the documented evidence that the petitioner didn't sign it, so it could be that she didn't want the protection. That would be domestic violence against the authority of the United States, because the petitioner actually does have rights. It's difficult as it would be to believe that I would actually defend my ex-wife that has abducted my sons and held them hostage for the last 6 years. I would use Heidi to sue every person in law enforcement for the next 20 years. Now, I think she's not going to get a whole lot out of these lawsuits. But as that husband that has said, give me my sons. It could be that Heidi was obligated to not enforce her rights because those in law enforcement have been holding her hostage since she abducted them on July 2nd of 2011. It would seem that those that are in government have been committing the crime of domestic violence against the petitioner's right to have the protection order removed. Now, I don't know that for sure. I do know what I had lived with when I was at the Guam Airport Hotel, and I had made mention that it's her birthday, and I thought I'd get her her own private island. But I'm kind of thinking that I would use her to sue every oath of office in the United States of America. I would use my ex-wife to sue every badge in Homeland Security. I would use my ex-wife.